Hi, thanks so much for joining me. Today we are doing a get ready with me using a lot of products from my February haul and favorites, including this palette from Chanel, the lip crayon that I picked up as well from Chanel, and some new concealers like this Giorgio Armani Power Fabric, a new concealer to me, the First Aid Beauty Concealer. I actually don't use color correcting with this one today, so that's kind of amazing if you've been here before. And the Brow Blade by Urban Decay. So if you'd like to see that, please keep watching. I've just completed skincare and there's SPF in my moisturizer. I'm not actually gonna go in with color science today because this would be more like an evening kind of thing. This was a highly recommended primer. Now that I'm looking at it in the camera though, it looks like it has a bit of a white cast, but let's see what happens because it'll be underneath the makeup. Interesting. It has like a bluish greenish tint almost, which is different for me. But let's just see how it goes. Then I'm gonna go in with the Luminous Silk Foundation by Giorgio Armani. I'm gonna mix that though, and this is in 7.5. I'm gonna mix that with the Fluid Sheer in number 10. So I've got 2 on here. So I'm just gonna mix those together. Really concentrating the foundation towards the center and then sweeping it out. Let's see how much we can get to show through. I know the point is to get that reflective quality so it looks translucent, but the white cast is just so strong on me. So we'll see if we can get it to show through. The VDL primer, it feels nice going on. Still looking a little bit white. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of this foundation. I'm just mixing the two again. Yeah, we'll just leave it there for now and see how this evolves. So I can always go in with more if I need to. I want to try out those concealers though. Okay, so you can see that even with a thin layer of foundation and that primer, a lot of blurring has happened compared to just how we looked a little bit earlier. We're gonna go in with a couple new concealers right now. This is the Armani Power Fabric in 6.5. I really wanted to try this in the deeper areas of my face where I need some more coverage, but I looked at the shades and there wasn't anything that would work. So this is 6.5. I'm gonna use this under my eyes. So I'm just gonna dot a little bit. And I thought this looked too light for me, but then the next one was 7.75, I think. I'm gonna use a brush this time. And I asked the associate at Sephora what she thought, and she said, no, 6.5, you're gonna wanna go lighter. And I said, okay, that looks really light, but we'll try. And actually this seems to work out well. Just a thin layer here. I've only worn this, actually, I got it last night and then I wore it for a little bit just to see how it went. I didn't set it or anything, but I just wanted to see about the shade. And I noticed that it doesn't take very much to cover up. So that was just very little. It's not heavy. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I wish there was one that would match my face color. There wasn't. So I told them what I was looking for and she actually pointed me towards the First Aid Beauty Concealer. So I don't know if you've tried this or not, but I'd never looked at it before and I don't hear much about it, but the match was pretty good. So we'll just do one side first so you can see. And it has that lightweight, fluid kind of formula that I was looking for. So I'm just pushing it into my skin because there are pores there. And what can happen is sometimes they'll settle into the pores if it's not pushed in kind of evenly. So there's that, and I didn't color correct. So that's pretty good because I think actually the discoloration is improving. So that's helping. And then I usually am doing all these steps to get the color correcting done before I do this and mix it in. And if you've seen my videos before, you know what a big deal it is to try and cover these things up. So this was pleasantly surprising that it worked so well and so quickly. So I'll just try to do half so you can see. I also asked for something that would kind of dry down a little bit more. Sometimes what will happen with concealers is they're too creamy and then they kind of will shift around. I still love the Clé de Peau, but I feel like I need to try some more so I can give you some other recommendations. And I'm always curious about concealers anyway. So if there's something I always want to try, it's a concealer. I just realized I think YSL came out with one. I failed to actually look at that one yesterday. So that'll be next, probably next month I'll look at that. So this is one side of my face, concealer, no color correcting. So that is pretty good. Let's go in with the other side. Yeah, this is a really nice color match. It has to have a bit of that salmon in there. A lot of the concealers were pulling like a really yellow tone or like a caramel tone, which doesn't work well if you're trying to color correct, or doesn't work well for me at least. It has to have like salmony, peachy tone just to combat this darkness. So depending on what you're trying to conceal, it really depends on your needs. But for my needs, something with a salmon tone is essential. And there aren't very many. Like, I looked at the Fenty ones and I thought I could find something in there, but it actually kind of skipped over exactly what I needed. It was kind of strange because there are so many offerings. But for my specific need for this more salmon peachy tone in this shade I couldn't find it. I really wanted to try it too. That is zero color correcting. And this dries down really nicely. And it's buildable. I just need to get a little bit more experience trying this to see how it wears. So what I'll do, since this is new, I will put some notes below after I've used it, because let's see, I'm doing this and then I'm going to film my haul and favorites video with this makeup on. So by the time this goes up, it'll be like another week or so. So I'll have had some more experience with that. I'll be able to tell you a little bit more. So I'll leave it in the description box below. This is a Sephora concealer brush, by the way, the magnetic one. And honestly, I use these magnetic things because they're so easy to find. So I actually invested in another Ray Morris brush because those are higher quality brushes. So this is how we're gonna kind of tweak this odd color I have right now. I'm gonna actually set with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more concealer just right here in the darkest area and pull that in this direction. And I forget to use a concealer brush sometimes, and I like it because it's really kind of feathery on the edges. I like using a beauty blender, but you can have more finesse with this, I think, than say a beauty blender where you're bouncing it up and down. Here you can kind of feather out the edges. I'm gonna take the Ambient Lighting Powder Kevin Aucoin brush. I'm also trying to tell you what brushes I'm using because it's kind of like the lipstick. If I don't say it right away, I'll forget. This is the Super Soft Buff Powder Brush. And I like it just for stamping in those areas. I know some of you have asked questions about how to stop things from moving around. Once you've done all that work, just stamping in the powder seems to work really well for me. So this is bringing some color back to my face. I think I'm going to stick with my Guerlain bronzer, so that'll be a powder. So I'm just going to set kind of the rest of my face. I do see a bit of that luminosity coming through, and I think it's because of the tone of it. Next, I'm going to go in with eyebrows, the Urban Decay Brow Blade. Now, I have been using this for a couple weeks now. I was really excited to try it. I saw Stephanie Marie trying this, and you know what I like about it? I like that it deposits color quickly because you can see it really does do a really good job, except I don't know why it's got a purple tone to it. So I don't know if it'll read on camera. It's very subtle, but I prefer something more gray toned on the eyebrows. Now I do have quite a bit of my own eyebrows that I'm just filling in. And I did try this on my mom. So she's got eyebrows that go like, they go till here and then they stop. So I tried filling her eyebrows in with this and it didn't do what you would expect it to do. I mean, it says brow blade. So in my mind, that's like microblading, but a temporary fix, not like permanent microblading. But I think I know what they were going for in the fact that it will mimic hair, but I could not get it to work for her. Her skin's a bit more oily too, so it wasn't clinging on really well to it. So still she uses the It Cosmetics Brow Power. That one works the best for her. It works nicely for me, but I have a lot of hair to start with. I mean, not a whole lot, but I do have hair for this to kind of just fill in the gaps. Here's my trickiest spot. And I keep wanting to have a spoolie at the end. There isn't one, there's a pencil on the end, so I do have to pull for another eyebrow product, my Dior one, if I want to do a spoolie in there. This is nice though, the pencil part is nice. And I'll just do that to kind of fill in the areas closer to the arch and then towards the tail end. I would have liked to have tried the one that was the step below this in terms of the deepness of the shade, because it had less of like a purple. I mean, I guess it doesn't look purpley on camera. It looks okay, I just prefer more of a gray tone. This side needs more help, so I'll kind of try and, I mean, you can see, look, there's little, it mimics hair, but on me it does because I've already set with powder. So if it's a more oily surface, it's not going to do this. So if you want to try this, just make sure the surface is prepped for it. You can see though, it does a really good job, like right there on the top row. I'm kind of, so this eyebrow is shorter than this eyebrow. Like there's hair missing here. If this was filled in, it would be much better, but there isn't. So I'm drawing them in to kind of match that one. There's definitely what looks like hair from here, but it takes practice and a very steady hand, because this is one of those things where if you if you don't have a steady hand, this could go, I think, awry pretty quickly. There's way more control with something like a pencil, like this side. But yeah, if this was just not as purpley, I think I would really like it. So I have to try the other shade, I think. I'm gonna go in with brow gel. Oh, I got the sample from them too, not them. I got a sample from Sephora for their brow Endowed. It's a primer and a color. This is a teeny tiny version. I think that there's a deeper color actually, so it's like this one's too light, but I'll show you what you do. You put the primer on like this, and it kind of tames the brows and builds them up. And then the other side has the color on it. Did I show you what the primer looks like? That's what the primer looks like. It's kind of not as light colored as it used to be because it picks up a little bit of that color when I use it. And then here's the other side, and then I just go over it. It does a nice job of building up the brows. I like how the wand is so small. It reminds me of like a bottom lash mascara wand. So you can really be precise. Next, we're gonna go in with eyes, finally, as soon as the washing machine stops. Next, we're going with the eyes, this beautiful Chanel palette, new to me, and I just used it last night. It's a 316. I played with it just a little bit to see kind of how it was gonna go. So I'm gonna take this flat brush by Shuamura. It's one of my favorite brushes that ever came in a set because of the shape. So it's nice and flat on the side, and then you have something more precise on the other side. So I'm gonna take this pink color, and I'm just gonna pat that on my eyelids. I'm hoping you can see it because it's very subtle. It has a bit of a sheen to it, but really pretty. So subtle is really nice for makeup in real life. It doesn't always translate really well onto camera, but I'll try and get it to show up as much as I can. I like it because it's not super pink. Sometimes if it's too light, it looks too pastel. It's just a really natural blush color, I think, for the eyes. So we're gonna go in with this color, the deeper color, the purpley color. And I thought this needed a matte in it, but this is not that shimmery, so this will do just fine. I'm gonna go into the crease here with that pointed edge. So if you look at it, it doesn't look super shimmery. And go down like this. By the way, that concealer is creasing a bit right under my eyelashes, which it normally does anyway. But I'm not seeing creasing under the eyes, although I didn't set it really intentionally with that Hourglass. So now that I'm sitting here, let's do that quickly. I'm gonna use this Charlotte Tilbury powder and just a random brush here. This is It Cosmetics. I don't usually set with this, but I can't find the one I'm looking for. So if you're ever in a pinch, just pinch the brush like this to get it to the size you want and just pat it on. So I know I did that Hourglass, but I like to go over it with this on the shinier parts of my face because it takes a bit of that sheen off of there. So we're gonna go in again with more of that purpley color after that bird walk. So I'm really just cutting it into the crease there. I'm gonna take the flat side of this larger end right here, same purpley color. I'm gonna just pat it onto this area. Now, let's see how this blending goes, because yesterday when I tried it, this did not blend amazingly easily. So let's just see if it was because I didn't even have a full face of makeup. I just started playing with the makeup. Let's see how well this blends without anything else under it. I didn't put any powder or anything yet. This is a Ray Morris brush, 7.5. Just gonna blend the edges out. Okay, so it is blending, but I'm gonna try something. And this was a little tip on the website when I picked this brush up. It said to take some face powder. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury and use that to buff this edge in, which why I don't do that anyway is a good question, because it makes sense. Okay, pretty. Blend that a little bit better. I'm gonna actually, going on that theme, I'm gonna put a little bit of that powder right here above my crease, so it's got something to kind of sit on, and so it'll hopefully blend a little bit better. Okay, let's go in with the other side. Okay, so putting down that powder didn't really help it in terms of its blendability. It's a darker color, so it's gonna be a little bit trickier to blend anyway. So I'm just gonna try and place this really well, so I'm just blending mostly the edges out. And that's what this brush allows me to do, this flat one. I just can place it where I want it. I'm gonna bring a little bit of that purple onto the edge here. So depending on how much purple you want to add, it will be more purple than pink. And also the other shades are a little bit more lavender. So I can show you those in a moment. So I would say this is the easiest shade to work with outside of the immediate eyelid area. But just have a nice amethyst color. I want to say, yeah, because it's got a little bit of pink in it, the purple. Let's try just a couple other colors so you can see what they look like. So I'm going to take that lighter color, it's like a lavender color, and just pat that on the center of my lid. And then you can see this is nice for spring for sure. And then let's take a little bit of this other color, the lightest color. I'm going to focus that on the inside corners here. Reminds me a little bit of my Dior palette, the purple one I talked about maybe a few months ago. Just taking my finger to that lightest color. Kind of goes with the whole color scheme of this primer though. It's got that cool tone to it, which I don't normally wear. So this is a good kind of out of my comfort zone thing. I'm gonna do something a little bit different with my eyeliner. I wanna add brown to the waterline here, which I don't normally do, but I thought let me try something different. I have a nice purpley color, but I think that just might be too much. So we're gonna stick with this brown. This is Brownie Marc Jacobs eyeliner. I did get another black eyeliner, It Cosmetics No Tug Waterproof Anti-Aging Gel Eyeliner. It's not the same as Marc Jacobs, but it's good. It does transfer a bit more than the Marc Jacobs upon initial application, but then it sets. It feels a little bit softer too. Okay, so Tom Ford. Same as usual. Really close to the lash line. Take this and the dark purple and just run that along the edge. If you're not great with liquid liner, that's a really good trick. And I'm gonna just go off camera and do my mascara. Okay, so yeah, lashes, huge difference. Let's go in with the lip color just because I've been so curious. I haven't used it at all yet. It's Chanel, it's the new one. It's in Bois Rose number 27. Ooh, really pretty. I like that. I know that the bright colors read really well on camera. So when I watch the footage back, I think I should really wear more bright colors because it really looks pretty on camera, but this is what I prefer wearing in real life. So I will probably wear more bright colors just to film, but in real life, like I would pick this. I would put this in my bag, really pretty spring color. I wonder if it makes me look a little washed out, so I'm gonna put blush on today. Haven't done that in a while. Okay, let's go in with some bronzer. Bronzer makes a big difference too. I've been loving my Guerlain Terracotta. Oh, that's not it. I've been loving my Guerlain Terracotta. I just mixed them all together. This one's in deep. I do have the lighter one. I think I'm actually gonna give that one to my mom because she loves the It Cosmetics one, the one that comes in a palette. It's like blush and bronzer and all that. But I think she would really like the lighter version of this. I did a video on this, a dedicated one to these two if you were curious about which one works for you. Sorry, the hair's driving people crazy, I know. I tried to curl it before just because that would make one less step after this before I film my other video. Gosh, yeah, bronzer fixes everything. Because you saw how light that foundation was? Just the whole thing was too light. But I'm not even adding it to the center of my face. I'm just adding it to the perimeter. Yeah, and it kind of solves the whole problem. I think that's why I love bronzer so much. It's so transformative. And the hair again, sorry. And then here's my little, I don't like to put foundation on my neck trick, so I'll put bronzer on my neck. That warmed up my face quite a bit. Like if I just put that lipstick on and then didn't put this bronzer, yeah, it would look really washed out. Let's put blush on. I haven't done that in a long time. We'll go in with this blush. Actually, let's do a mix of those two. This is from my Hourglass Unlocked palette, which I love. See, I don't even have a blush brush. Let's use this blush brush. I love it because it's so like light and fluffy, so the application is very also light and fluffy. I'm just gonna mix these two together. These two, really lightly. What else can we add? Ooh, let's add some highlighter because I love highlighter. So we're gonna use this highlighter from the same palette. Do I have any new? No, I don't have any new highlighter to use. This is probably like the coolest highlighter I have. The most cool toned highlighter. So that kind of goes with the whole thing. This is a really big highlighter brush for my nose. Probably not the best choice. Just gonna put a little bit of contour here. I really like this purpley eyeshadow. It's really pretty. I didn't think that I would have much luck with actual dark color here because I thought there would be too much shimmer, but it's not too shimmery at all. I think I still would incorporate some mattes along the way just to kind of get that to blend in a little bit better. And the lips, I really love that. And in a couple weeks, I'll do the Chantecaille, and you'll notice the lip color is a very similar kind of shade and finish. Yeah, it's really hard for me to find light colors, like a light pink that's not too cool, but also will do enough to even out my skin tone on my lips and be moisturizing. And so this is like, I really like this one. As for the concealers, I think they did a really good job, both of them. I'm gonna watch for some creasing in this area with that Power Fabric in the eye area, and then I'll also look to see how this wears because I'm most oily in this area and that's where it will tend to break up. I did not put the Becca primer like I normally do, which is kind of the key typically to it not breaking up, but I'm gonna see how it does without it. I will wear this every day for the next couple weeks. So by the time this gets posted, I'll have more experience with it and I'll leave some notes below so you can see. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. So if you did, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. The other way around, and sometimes I'll sandwich the powders in between. So, where is it? Let's go in with the lip color just because I've been so curious about this.